cope with life and loss, giving kids a boost who need it the most, who need reasons to smile. Here's Jeff Smith, In Touch.
Glad to have you once again here on In Touch for this Sunday. Glad to have Jeri Dushane with us this week. And Jeri's here because over the last couple of weeks, and Jeri, I was telling you, we've been talking about those mental stresses on some of our young people.
Right.
And the one we want to talk about this week is bereavement and dealing with loss, tragedy. And while you said it's not necessarily a death we're talking about, the focus of our topic today, this week, is specifically on Camp Fearless, which has been offered by ProMedica over the last couple of years and newer to some of our other communities. So first and foremost, let's instruct people, let's define Camp Fearless for those who don't know anything about it.
Great. Well, thank you for having me, Jeff.
Absolutely.
Camp Fearless is an opportunity. It is a grief camp for children between the ages of 6 to 16. It is a free camp hosted by ProMedica Hospice. We have 4 locations for our camp.
And we'll get to those at the end. We want to give the dates and everything as far as those are concerned. What is this camp doing for the young people?
The most important part, I think, of camp is that these children come together and they discover that they are not the only ones that are going through their loss. They have other children their age. That was the biggest component that we heard last year from the children, that they discovered that they weren't alone.
Kind of a togetherness feeling, And one of the things you also brought up, and once again with Jeri Dushane, she is a hospice volunteer with ProMedica. We were talking about...
I'm a volunteer coordinator.
Volunteer coordinator, I apologize. But we were talking specifically about the fact that this isn't necessarily death that some of these kids are dealing with. Talk about some of the other reasons that they come to this camp.
Well, they can suffer a loss in any way. Some children may have lost a parent, a grandparent. We have some children that have been removed from their situation and are now either with another family member, or their parents might still be alive, but they just can't be caring for them at this time. So that's a different kind of loss, but they are still part of our camp. They are going through. It is still a loss. It's still a grieving time for them. Their situation has changed.
Some of the other camps have been going on for over a decade. We've got both Monroe and Sylvania, which are going into their 2nd year, we understand. When these kids approach, when they are brought to the camp, one of the things that struck me, I was watching a video that's available actually on the ProMedica.org website, but if you go in there and you listen to some of their stories and some of their tales, and the coordinators saying, we do a thing where, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they put their pain in a box. And then at one point during the 3 days that they're with the coordinators, they put that box on the floor and they stomp on their pain.
They find ways to release their pain, yes, their grief. They work through their grief. We have different therapeutic activities. We have team building activities. We have arts and crafts that allow them to share their memories. It's okay to share. It's okay to talk about that person, that situation. So there's different avenues to help them work through that box that they closed, to either eliminate the pain, to work through the pain.
And maybe when they get away or separated from family a little bit, maybe there is a comfort level in some of their peers being around them, and they can open up about these things that maybe at home they don't want to talk about.
Depending on the situation that's going on at home. And during the camps, there's also bereavement that's offered for the adults that still might be working through it, because we do have our bereavement counselors from ProMedica Hospice. And with the Monroe office, our Monroe camp, we partner with Gabby's Ladder in Monroe County. So they have their bereavement counselors are there with us also.
In the time you've been with the program, just one of the things that has stood out for you, seeing what these kids get from this at the end of that time?
They were happy. I had a different expectation. Last year was Monroe's first time in doing the camp, and I had a completely different vision of what was going to happen. And some of the kids came in and they were quiet. Their parents told us they didn't want to come. They thought we were going to make them talk, and they didn't want to do that. But then they found out, you know, we put them in strategic groups for their age group. We had age-appropriate activities, and they were having fun. And because grief isn't to discuss your grief, it's okay to share fun memories. It's, you know, and we do those things, and it's okay to bring that forth. And they had a good time.
And I was going to point out a young man talking in this video about the memory tree that they have set up, and I don't know if that's what it's actually called.
Yeah.
But he said that was probably his best part of the 3 days, was being able to share
the memory.
Yeah, his precious moment, obviously. Let's put the dates up for the upcoming camps that we have. Once again, Camp Fearless, allowing some of our young people to deal with bereavement. Camp Fearless, we see Monroe is coming up at the in just a few days. Then Fremont follows in the beginning part of July, and then Sylvania. Talk about registration.
Registration, you can go right to that site that you see on TV.
Mm-hmm.
You can go right there, and there's the days and times of each camp, and then there's a little toggle. You click right on it. You can print out the application, and you send that application in. There's phone numbers on the site available, so if you have any questions, you can call in, and we can answer any of your questions.
Perfect. An outlet for your young people there, and if you are a parent who is struggling with a young person who might be going through a tough time as far as bereavement is concerned, definitely need to look into Camp Fearless. Jeri,
thank you so much, Jeff.
Thank you so much. We're going to close the book on this week's In Touch, and now you are more in touch.
All right, Jeff, thank you. And thanks to our guests this week, Michael Marsh of the Toledo Fair Housing Center, and Truman Claytor, local basketball legend, Hall of Famer, counselor for troubled youth in the area. We invite you to join us throughout the week for 13 ABC Action News at 5, 5:30.